How is everyone doing today? We have another tomato to show everyone. Super excited about that. Our tomato season, it's the 1st of September right now, and our tomato season has hit a big stride. We've been doing really well and getting hordes of tomatoes out of our yard this year, but due to a semi-crisis, we have been slow on taking care of the yard and kind of getting our videos up and out. So I want to get a few of these out while the getting's good, and this one is called the Mocha's Cherry. I might look a little bit up online about it, but otherwise I kind of want to go blind into this a little bit so that I can temper my knowledge of it and really sit down and give it a try from my own personal experience. Um, kind of page down through here. Pull it from here. Look at all these tomatoes. Look how beautiful that looks too. The coloration that comes on the back side of these, or that comes on these, is a lot like the indigo rose, or the ones that have the large amount of anthocyanin that kind of creates that indigo color. But the color underneath is less red. I know it probably isn't showing up in the camera, and maybe it will when we get this tomato inside. But the color underneath is a little more mocha. It's almost like a brownish red is how it's appearing to my eye. I know it's a little more red in that, but it's a little more brownish red, like a mocha color, than you would call it a bright red. But we've had several of these done. This is also from the Dwarf tomato project, so these are dwarf plants. And out of all the plants we've grown, which has got to be about 12 total from the Dwarf tomato project plants, and out of all of them, this is the very smallest. It probably doesn't look it, but this entire plant right here has got to be less than 2 feet tall. So I'll go stand on the other side of it real quick. That's the size of the plant compared to Angel. And hordes of tomatoes. We did one in this little bit larger bucket. I think it's called a 7-gallon. It's also got a couple peppers growing in that same bucket. And then we got one that's growing in a 5-gallon bucket. So most of the time our dwarfs will go in the 7-gallon bucket, but being this one, look at both of those are the same size. They're only about 2-foot tall plants. Hordes of tomatoes, not sure on the history of them. The tomatoes that come from the Dwarf Tomato Project tomatoes, though, are all considered, what would you call it? Established seeds. That means that they come from varieties that have been regrown. Man, our camera makes it look that poppin' bright red. To my eye, though, it's a little more dull, so maybe
like
it'll show up.
Like a rust color to us.
Yeah, like a rust color, or maybe there's a brownish undertone to it. That's probably where it gets its Mocha name. I actually might look a little bit this one up because I don't want to give anybody bad information. And a part of the excitement for us to grow these kind of tomatoes is with the uniqueness and stuff like that, is just to find out how many unique things we can find out about it while we do it. So if these start doing a little bit better, and this too, I also heard if you grow peppers near your tomatoes, it can make your tomatoes spicy a little bit. I'm not quite sure if that's true, but you know what I mean? Hey, we'll find out, because we can be able to test more of these later on this year, and then this season, and then also be able to test these ones. So two of the same plant growing exactly near the same area, or near the same area, same height, same looks to them. There are just so many. And I'm guessing pulling these off is going to cause the rest to speed ripen and stuff. So never had this kind before. Super excited to take it in. We'll catch you guys in a second. Love you. Thanks for watching. All right, this is the Dwarf Mocha Cherry tomato. Still don't know anything about it. Going to jump right in and just give it a shot. We're going to save seeds off of this one too. These ones start to get bigger and bigger, and they're actually a giant size, almost cherry tomato. It's like not splitting though. I haven't noticed that any of these is split, even though a couple of these should be overripe, a couple on and a couple under. I would guess maybe not any under, but I'll slice this one this way. Slice this one this way. Not a lot of seeds, really small seeds too.
Looks juicy and yummy.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's got good walls, good meat. It looks like good texture. A lot of times when referring to the texture, you refer to the mealiness. We like the smooth. It'd be almost like the texture of a peach. The inside of a peach, less than the texture of, say, an inside of an apple.
Or a pear, yeah.
Or a pear, yeah. Ones that are too mealy are ones that almost like are a little bit granular in your mouth. Some people don't mind that, and we don't mind that either. Like a lot of them, all tomatoes almost have that to some degree, but this one has a really good texture on the inside so far. So I would love for this one to taste good, because those plants produce well. Beautiful plant, beautiful name. It's not super rich, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's a little bit mild, but the flavor is almost traditional. A little bit, almost say Roma flavor. There's so many different unique types of tomatoes. We haven't really grown any true reds for a while now. I think the last true red tomato we've grown has been the San Marzano.
I got a little bit of a like a smoky aftertaste with that one when I ate the dark part of the tomato.
You want to try another piece, or try that small one there? I don't know which one of the tomatoes to compare it to, except it feels to me it leans more red, like the cross between a red and a purple one. I can see where you kind of feel the smoke, or you can taste a little bit of smokiness to it.
Yeah, I can taste a little bit of smokiness to it, almost like charred, but it doesn't have a lot of distinct flavor. It's kind of watery, kind of like the Roma, like you were saying. Not a lot of distinct flavor.
It's definitely there
Not
for me.
acidic. It doesn't taste like this. There's hardly any acids in it.
And I hope that's not our watering situation. I don't want every tomato that we're trying this year to be like, oh, this one's low acidity. Oh, this one's mild. There is a flavor here.
Yeah.
It's not overpowering though. Some red tomatoes that have that flavor, it comes with like an acidity to it, or a sort of much. Like this one, it does have some acidity to it and some of the traditional red flavor, but it also isn't one that would hurt you too quickly if you were to eat out in the yard. I wouldn't call it mild.
Yeah. It's kind of
in the
like the
acidity.
refreshing kind of like if you're thirsty, you eat one of these and you don't feel thirsty anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just
I'm
the
really
best way I
impressed
can
too. The
explain
skin's
it.
not too tough considering that they haven't been splitting. I'm kind of surprised with our situation this year that they haven't split. So really impressed with that. Really cool color on there. It still doesn't show it perfectly, but it's a mute red.
It's very dull, almost like a rust color. Yeah, it's really light, a light rust color.
So with that, I would think it would lean a little more towards the purple tomatoes, or the ones that they consider black tomatoes, like the trifil or the carbon or something along those lines, back and forth. The trifil and the carbon have two different flavors, but they're just two different kinds of purple or browns that I would almost want to associate this one with. Even though it looks red in the camera, it's more of a mocha brown.
Yeah, and I definitely have a smoky aftertaste with that. It's good though. I like it. Almost like I grilled it a little bit or smoked it a little bit.
Yeah, and this is excellent, pretty well-rounded, large style cherry tomato. The plants though, 2 foot tall, you know what I mean? Dozens of tomatoes. Like if you have a small yard, if you have a little tiny balcony, you could put that out there. If you have a
Yeah.
little space near one of your windows indoors, you could put one of these plants. But really impressed with this. I'm not quite sure on the regrow. We try to grow a little more of the power style plants. But if you're limited on space and you want a well-rounded little cherry tomato, if with as many as it produces and them being a little bit bigger too, you could almost use this as dicing up for like a salsa or something. I could imagine almost like a traditional flavored salsa like this.
So
This is the one that came from the
plant with the pepper.
plant with the peppers and pepper plants in it.
We'll give it a test. Someone told me that if you grow a hot pepper plant with your tomato, it'll make your tomato spicy. I don't know how true that is.
I don't think the pepper that's growing with it's the ají dulce. The ají dulce. I'm not even sure how hot that pepper is, but
I don't taste any spice.
you don't taste any different. It tastes the same as the others.
It's a little under, so it's got a little more of a sour bite to it.
Yeah, it does. I felt there's like a zing.
Yeah.
With that one, and that may be true. Maybe this one was overwatered.
Could be.
So none of our grows are optimal. Those plants out there, they look good right now, and they're doing excellent. That's the best they've been doing all year. You can almost do better than us in our exact same situation a lot of times because of time management and different reasons. We just always want to temper people's resolve. It's just me and Angel and Kiddo here. A few of us in a small town trying to grow unique things. And this one right here, unique name, tiny little power plant. Just really, really cool grow. Really, really fun grow. So if you're trying to grow some power tomatoes, like, and you're trying to get a horde of tomatoes, you won't necessarily get at this, but a few plants. I can imagine I can convert my entire yard to just this plant, how much room I would save, and also more room for more of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. Maybe not as a yard snack as much as some of the other unique flavors. The black cherry's the king yard snack or cherry tomato to us.
Yeah, but if it's something you just don't want a lot of flavor, just something to snack on, even just on a hot day, it's good too.
Yeah, and I would almost compare. I would say that the Indigo Rose looks really similar to this,
Yeah.
but their flavors are unique. The Indigo Rose I like better. This one is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the flavor. To me, I'm thinking Roma or maybe some sort of, I don't know, let's say store-bought tomato. I don't like store-bought tomatoes at all. They taste watered down a little bit, but sometimes you can get a store-bought tomato that has a decent enough flavor, like maybe they accidentally didn't 3D print it or something like they do the rest of them. And this one had that flavor, so might look up a little bit, but otherwise this is just winged. The Mocha's cherry tomato, and we will catch you outside in just a second. Love you guys. All right, so the Mocha's cherry tomato. Both of these plants right here, here's a little context. They're only a couple foot tall. This is our pepper wall. As you can see, our pepper plants are all bigger than these tomato plants, but quite a bit, and we could have grown this one a lot better too. So it's just trussels and trussels of cherry style tomatoes. They're large. The indigo purple tells me it's probably one that's high in a substance called anthocyanin, which is supposed to be antioxidant, I believe. A really strong antioxidant. The anthocyanin that gives it that color is the same stuff that's in, like, say, blackberries or a lot of the purple fruits, or there's a couple other kind of tomatoes that'll have that true black or indigo color. But just a lot of tomatoes off of a couple really, really small plants. These are actually Dwarf Tomato Project plants too, that are about, this one's about 4 foot high, this one's about 5 foot high, maybe 5.5 foot high. These ones over here are heirlooms. They've actually been trimmed. You got to keep managing heirlooms, or they'll just continue to try to push off the suckers and grow and grow and grow, and you won't get much production. So you got to trim back your heirlooms pretty well. So that's them trimmed back. These couple little plants. I could move this with me if I went on vacation and just take it. Really good. I would say if I was trying to describe the flavor, it was more traditional, but strong plant, cool name for a small space garden. Really, really cool, and excited that we grew this one as a niche little cherry tomato to have out in somebody's yard. I would imagine kids would love to grow this one, and anybody with a balcony that might not have room for any of the major power plants. So doesn't require much space, and a great overall tomato. Mocha's cherry, the Dwarf Mocha's cherry tomato. It is September 1st of 2022, and we love you guys. Thanks for watching. The Mocha's cherry, oh, so good. I want to smash each one into my chest hairs.
Gosh. No. Not happening.
Not happening?